Alrighty then. Let's see here. Are we live? Looks like we're live. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Today we are doing our weekend live stream. So, for those of you who are new to Saturdays, I try to every Saturday, sometimes Sundays, sometimes Friday nights. We do a weekend live stream where I try to answer your questions. One of the things that I wish I had a lot more of when I was starting to get started in all this was someone that I could just ping some questions to and from and maybe hopefully get some answers. And that's what these are all about. Every weekend I do a live stream where I try to do an AMM style where I help out in any way I can. And I typically have been starting recently to start off with a question why people sort of funnel in, if you will. And this week, I am going to start by giving a little update about myself, what I'm doing, and then the question that's in the title. So, a little update about me. I am in about 3 hours going to go be taking a certification exam that will, if I pass it, which I should, it's a web dev certification, will fulfill one of my courses for college. So, it'll be as of this coming Monday, 2 weeks since I went back to school, and I should finish my first course today. And that's pretty exciting. So that's going to be what I'll be up to in about 3 hours time. I've been studying and doing all that, and I'm still waiting on my new computer. It should be here in a week. I have some great videos coming out on Monday. I have a video called the top 50 online resources to learn to code. So look forward to that video. It's a 36-minute video because I'm going through 50 different resources, but I think that'll be something that's very exciting. You guys will like. So that's what's going on. All right. So the question, the first intro topic we're going to talk about is my boss asked me. For those of you, I don't want to go into too much detail about my workplace or anything like that, but my boss, we have these one-on-one meetings every week where it's about 15 minutes where we talk. All the employees talk with their managers once a week, and it's kind of your chance to vent, to discuss your career and things like that. And he asked me a question that he normally hasn't asked me in the past, which was, what is it that you want out of your career? What are your career goals? And I gave him a very honest answer. Like, where do you want to go? How do you want to progress? I gave him a very honest answer. One was, I want to go where all the money is. So whatever can make me more money is where I want to go, which is true because I truly do enjoy it all. For the most part, minus PHP, and luckily we don't do PHP, but that's a separate video. I get hate about that in another video. So I do enjoy it all. What I would like is just to make more money in general. Not to say that I'm underpaid or anything, but that's my career goal, is to make good money and be able to. I work a job because I'm not financially wealthy or independently wealthy. That's typically why people work jobs. Now, it's kind of strange to boil it down to that, but that is the facts, all right? So if we were all independently wealthy, probably 9 out of 10 of us would not work. We would work on our own stuff and not for other people. Now, the other thing that I said was that I would like very much so to get, I think I used the word disgusting. I would like to get the disgusting junior off of my title. Now, my previous job, I didn't have junior on my title, and I'm not quite sure why they felt it was necessary to put it on my current title, but they did, and I wanted to work for them, so I accepted the role, even though they did. And so those are kind of my two short-term career goals. Well, yeah, I would say the second one's short-term, but the more I reflect upon this question, the more I think about it, I think I'm going to have to dive in deeper and say, what is ItWorks' plan for my career? What is my company's plan for my career goal? Because I think that is equally as important. And why are you asking this question? And so I will be asking a question next week because I think it's important to find out if you're asking this question. Because long term, what my plan is kind of I could map it out. I would like to drop the junior and go to senior as soon as possible. I would like to make more money, and I would like to eventually be a tech lead or some sort of lead of a team and get some developer management experience. That is my goal. But there's several steps to get to that. So that was something that happened recently, and I think it's important to say because I do have career goals. Now, oftentimes, I've never really thought this is the first real company that I've been with that I could see myself working for 5 years. Most companies I see myself working for a year to 2 years to 3 years to 4 years. Year to 2 years is kind of what I'm saying. And so it is the first company in which the goals that I am looking to achieve, I could say, can line up. I can become a senior developer. I can become a better developer. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility of some sort of promotion or something like that in a reasonable amount of time. So it's strange because I've never usually when I think about I guess what I'm trying to say is usually when I think about my career goals, and I filmed a video about job hopping that I haven't released because I didn't really like how it came out. But I just think about it as me. I don't necessarily think about the company aspect, right? And I think that's something that is different because I do think about staying with my company because I tend to actually love everything about my company currently, which is you can always change. But it's a very interesting thing because it's the first time that as a employee, I have to think about these things because for so long as an employee, I'm just looking out for me and I'm still looking out for me. But I'm more so I see how the company and as an employee, our paths can align to where we are both successful instead of I'm just worried about me being successful, which is an interesting thing that has never occurred as an employee before. So that's my little blurb for the week. Let's see what sort of questions we got. Pimpin' ain't easy. Early birds gets the worm. Giggity giggity. Yes, words of wisdom from Street Fighter Motorcycles. I'll stand up real quick. Literally was just watching one of your videos. Well, thank you very much. You clearly have good taste. All right. What do you think about trying to get to front end dev? I'm a front end dev. I think it's great. Allegedly, I'll start being groomed to be a full stack dev, but we'll see what happens with that. Best web projects for front end. First, a long-term project, something that you're going to continually work on and continue to grow with. And the best projects, in my opinion, are ones that will make you a buck. Not like you need to get rich, but if you can take a project, make $50 a month, you're going to be motivated to continue to work on that project to get it to $75 a month to $100 a month, so on and so forth, and continue to learn, right? So that's one thing I would suggest. And unique projects. People are so sick of seeing weather apps in your portfolio or calculators. Do something unique. Build your own sort of thing. If you're interested in MMA, do an MMA stats page that hits a bunch of MMA APIs. If you're a backend guy, build an MMA API. You know how to get confidence in React. You code, you build things in React, and you learn. Continue forward. Angular and React in 2018. Should I learn both of them? I honestly think it's probably fine to learn one or the other when it comes to the Angular or React front end frameworks. I don't think you necessarily need to learn both. I think you probably would put yourself in a disadvantage. I mean, having both skill sets is great, but if you're trying to land that first job, I think probably focusing on one or the other is fine. Hey, Sensei. I guess that's me. How does one follow advice from experienced devs who advise noobs who want to get better to just start building stuff? Yeah, I get that you need to practice, but there has to be more. Well, here is the honest to God truth. You need to code every day, and then you'll get better. There's no shortcut, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I code every day outside of work and inside of work. I show up to work about 30 minutes to an hour early, and I watch Udemy tutorials, or I read blogs or whatever it is. I am progressing my skill set. I'm outside of work going to get my degree. Last week I went to a meetup and learned some stuff. And so what I'm trying to say is you can do it in a number of different ways. We have our Facebook group, Code Tech and Caffeine, where people are sharing resources and like hot tech, new tech, new software, new frameworks. The goal is to learn a little something every day. And if you do that, you'll continue to grow. Why'd you shave off half your mustache? I didn't, man. It just grows like this. It's dark in the center. It's all I got, man. I can't help the way that my facial hair grows. Besides, everyone likes a porn stash. All right. But yeah, so the goal is for you to continue to mature as a developer. You should be 2 to 3 times the developer you are every year. That's kind of how I look at it. So after JavaScript, what should I learn for freelancing? You should probably, so anyone who's trying to freelance, might I please just suggest you go and get actual company experience and freelance after you've been working for a couple of years. Because I just think it's one of those things where you need the in-person. You'll become such a better developer. How much do you balance your social career and now school life? Not very well. This is something that, so I don't know if I've ever said this, but I told April about 3 years ago that I told her, I said, look, I'm going to work every day for this. Is when I kind of said I was feeling down in the dumps and I was just like, I'm going to turn my life around. I said, look, I kind of made a mental note and stuck to it that I'm going to work every day for 5 years and see what it gets me. And I think if I do that, I can be very successful. And so we're about 3 years in of the work every day for 5 years, and it has been working phenomenally. I mean, from living on the floor or on a couch to I got money in the bank to buy a house and then some. So my career's going great, everything. So when it comes to actually managing the work, in terms of career, I put in about 40 hours to 45 hours a week. Those extra 5 hours, my career in terms of time is a standard full-time job. I've actually had my director of engineering come up to me and he noticed I was coming in early and staying late because I'm studying, I'm doing this. He came up to me and said, show up on time and leave on time. You don't need to be here doing this. So in the current job I'm in, it has a very great work-life balance in that aspect. In terms of social life, it's a little bit hard. It is just April and I and the cats right now. We are in saving mode because we're looking to buy a house. We normally would probably be taking a vacation here or there, but that is one of those things that kind of in social, we don't know anybody out here. That's the truth, man. I've tried to make friends with some of my coworkers and we are friends and stuff like that. We don't really hang out. And school life, just studying every day, kind of like coding. Every day I'm learning and doing what I can. My goal currently is 1 class every 2 weeks. It looks like I'll be able to stick to that, at least in the beginning. I'm setting myself up with the courses that I think are a little bit less of a learning curve for me in the software development degree program. So that's what I do. How much do you code for my company? I would say about 50 to 75% of my time is spent coding, depending on the week. There are other aspects. There's meetings that you have to go to. It's not like I'm doing other work besides coding, but there is, in terms of actual me sitting down and building out projects and working on projects, you are a lot of times you have meetings, you have to talk about requirements, there's workshops and all that sort of stuff that go along with it. But I would say if I had to say an average, probably about 70% on average that I'm actually spending coding. I'm about to start self-studying JavaScript. What's one project you suggest building for a profile? I would say start by building an actual personal portfolio. You can put header images in or whatever to hold those places as you are currently learning and building those projects for your portfolio. But I think being able to build a nice looking portfolio page is super important. I think that's a good place to start. I'm currently using Angular. Angular in the latest version. We update the day that Angular updates. We update our code typically in the project that we're running. So I'm currently working in Angular 5, and I love it. It has a little bit of a learning curve in terms of just the way that how everything's connected. But once you pick that up, it's not too bad. I could probably teach. And I've been meaning. So one of the videos I'm going to film is like Angular 5 and 30 minutes or something like that. One of those types of videos where it's just a breakdown of Angular, showcasing what it is you need to know and how to use it and stuff like that. Have I ever considered starting your own company? Yeah, but it's not like a dev company. And it's not something that I'm considering too much. If I was going to consider start a business, I probably would just do a franchise. Something that I think would be low effort in terms of the amount of hours, or that would not have a super high learning curve. Something like an Amscot, like a money shop sort of thing. So we'll see. So Paul Hanna says, what's coding like on the job? Is it slower paced? Do you pair program? Is it acceptable to spend time on technical spikes, or do they expect you to handle that after hours? So here's the thing. Every company is different by far. I can tell you that I personally do pair program on occasion, and that when there are technical spikes, most of the time, and I assume most companies, but I can only say for the ones that I've worked with, it is expected that you don't twiddle your thumbs. If you need help, ask for help. We are a team in most software companies, right? We're all on the same team, and you should be able to lean on other people. And it's fine. It happens all the time, right? And you should be happy to help, as well as have your ego in check enough to be able to accept help. I'll give you a perfect example. There are a lot. So there are about triple the amount of back-end / full stack devs as front-end devs. But as a front-end dev, I work in the front end all the time. And so what happens is you'll see that sometimes the full stack devs will need a little bit of help going into things because they're not up to date on the packages that we're updating, or how we do this, how we do that, because a lot of stuff is custom. So you go over there and you say, I think it's because this is broken, and they've been looking at it for 30 minutes, but you can just spot it like that. Because why should they go spend another 40 minutes, 2 hours trying to debug it when there's somebody who works in this every day? Is it better to learn JavaScript frameworks like React or Angular, or learn a backend language like PHP or Python? It really depends on what your goal is. Both things accomplish completely different things. The Iceblade Network, how's it going, man? Which project do you think landed you a job, and what do you post on your GitHub? So I actually have a video for my GitHub going over my projects that'll come out in about 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. But the project, my most impressive project, is YouTube. And so that is what has landed me probably my last 3 jobs, actually. I wouldn't say landed me, but it's played a factor, would be a better way of putting it. And so it shows a passion. It shows that I'm learning, and it shows that I'm continuing to educate myself and grow as a developer. And I think it's something that is unique to me, and it's all about building unique projects, as I've kind of explained. And so that would be the thing that helped me the most. What type of questions did my boss ask in the interview front end? I can't really answer that. They're not going to like me answering what sort of questions my job asked for interview process. Is PHP there in 2018? PHP seems to be, I mean, you just do a little bit of research about what jobs are showing up with PHP. There's a lot of PHP jobs out in the world. Now, whether they're the high-paying jobs, I can't really say, but there are a lot of PHP jobs in general. And the reason for that is a lot of times it's just you have people who have been working in PHP for 20 years, and they are now architects, and they're architecting projects in PHP. So was at a local Starbucks, and a lady offered me a freelancing opportunity from her husband's company. When I'm ready, I'm excited but nervous. Amen. So the thing about being a developer is just be confident that you are going to confidently work at something. That's that sounds kind of, how can I put this in a much better way than I just did? Understand that you are going to willingly chip away at this first project as you go, and there may be setbacks, but you're going to continue to grind it out. And if you have that mentality, it's really nothing to stress about. Projects, as you become a better developer, don't necessarily become more complex 90% of the time. They just become larger in scope. It's just, okay, well, because a project is nothing but a bunch of set of mini projects. And if you look at the mini projects, you say, okay, I just got to chip away at this one. This mini project's done. I have 5 mini projects. Do mini project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that big, massive project is done. And you start looking at programming that way, it becomes a lot less intimidating. But I can't say that I'm not, I haven't been in your situation numerous times where I'm now freelancing and things are very scary, because they are. So. What kind of things do you need to know about MySQL as a developer? You need to be able to, well, it depends. It depends on what you're doing in MySQL. But if you're just like a full stack dev, you probably just need to know how to create tables, join tables, and add rows and columns to the database. Whatever happened to your JavaScript Udemy course? So I have 5 hours of content on there, and my computer, although I'm using it now, you'll notice that things are a little bit slow and breaking. My computer's been breaking. I have a new computer coming, and I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is take that JavaScript content and I'm going to add it to a 100 algorithm section. So you're going to kind of get a 2-in-1 course. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What projects have you built that you're most proud of? Again, the YouTube channel. This is something that I've been working on for 2 years, 7 or 8 months, according to my LinkedIn. And I've been sticking with it. I've been grinding it out to the best of my ability. It's introduced me to a lot of interesting people. It has been very helpful in that, and it's by far the project that I'm most proud of. And people, oh, that's not a real project. But oh, it for sure is. Anything that shows coding, not all projects have to actually write code, but it is something I'm very proud of. So. How do you get clients on freelancing? I mean, there's websites, there's Craigslist, there's word of mouth, there's contracting. So you could be a contract employee. So how much time should it take for the front end certificate free code camp? Everyone goes at a different pace. It took me, and mind you, I wasn't doing it exclusively, but from the day I started to the day I finished, it took me about 9 months. And I put a lot of time in that. I was doing all the algorithms. I didn't cheat on any of it. I did it all myself. How many hours should one commit to web development starting from HTML? If you really want to learn web devs, just front end to start, you should be doing about 3 hours of coding a day until you get a job. That is my recommended amount of time. Every day, no breaks until you get a job. I'm going to say it one more time because a lot of you are going to think that I'm kidding or that I am exaggerating. Code every day until you have a fucking job, and you will get a job. I've told you guys the secret. That is the secret. Why are my monitors so high? They're not. I just have a standing desk. Do you think you need to learn object-oriented programming for a front-end dev? In C# or C++ before working JavaScript or Angular? No, I mean, you don't have to. Angular uses TypeScript, which essentially does object-oriented programming. At the end of the day, it uses classes and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think you have to actually go and learn C# or C++. Am I working in a software house or other company? I'm working in a company that's in the health and beauty space. With its in-house development team, I guess is how I would put it. Can you make a video customizing an Angular 5 project from ThemeForest? No. There's no time for that. That's a waste of your time and my time, as far as I'm concerned. What should I learn after HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Should pick up Git and a front-end framework. such as React or Angular. I've been taking React, Angular, and Vue courses on Udemy. I'm spending most of my time React. However, I really like Vue. Things is in jobs, man. It's not like Angular or React. Yeah, it's a waste of time. I've said this quite a bit. There's a reason I only recommend React or Angular, because you need to be learning. If your job is to land a goal, be learning a React or Angular, because those are the front end frameworks that there are jobs in. Now, I couldn't tell you if Vue is great or wonderful, but I can tell you that if you're thinking about getting a job in 2 years with Vue, maybe, but most people are trying to get jobs today, and so I wouldn't waste my time with Vue. So, let's see here. Can working in web development lead to an antisocial life? I think working in any job that works you long, hard hours, and a lot of times, a lot of people in certain industries, the game industry is a great example of this. You are working very long hours, and in certain companies, you're working very long hours. And if your company is consistently trying to work you 50, 60 hours a week, you should leave that company. You should really consider leaving that company. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be weeks that are going to be longer because you have special events that happen once a year or twice a year. That all happens. What I'm saying is what you need to do is find a company that doesn't expect you to work 60-hour weeks, because not only is your hourly rate going down, it will take away from your social life. But does working in web dev make you less social? I don't believe so. Show web developer be willing to focus on applying for jobs in high demand area like Seattle, San Francisco, Seattle, New York City, or is it smart to apply for jobs in a place with a lower cost of living? So it depends on where you're at in your career, right? So when I was applying for my first web dev job, I was applying in all of the United States. I would apply every single day for every front end role that came up in the United States in the last 24 hours. Now, if I were say I was job hopping in a year from now or 2 years from now, whatever it is, or today for in this situation. So say I'm job hopping, I would look for cities that I wanted to work in. And the reason for that is I have some experience now. But I think when you are looking to get your first role, you should just be willing to go anywhere and get the experience. Now, the problem with that is that some people don't have it in them to job hop. Some people have this loyalty gene and don't understand that loyalty goes both ways, right? So if you're making $50,000 in your first web dev job in your first year, that's fine. It's not a great amount of money, but that's fine as long as you understand that now that you have 1 year experience, you can leave and go get 65. But what happens is that 1 year comes by, sometimes you get a raise to 53. And then you're like, okay, cool, I got a little 53, a little $3,000 raise. But you just lost out on $12,000 and probably at a larger or better company. But some people don't have that in them. So that's the one caveat to that, I would say. Where's my cat? I have 3. They're all over the place, man. It's hard to keep track. You cheat on the algorithms? Do front-end devs design, or do they convert PSDs from designers? Typically, front-end devs will convert designs given to them by the UI team, but it all depends on the organization. What are my thoughts on Vue.js? Essentially, there's no job, so it's not worth talking about. I mean, if you just are looking for a passion project, you're already a working dev, fine. But most people who are on YouTube on these software channels, I say the majority, probably are people who are in school, probably are people who are just graduate coding boot camps, people who are looking to jump into the career. They are wasting their time. Are algorithms necessary for full stack dev? They're necessary for you to get a job. They're necessary for you to understand. Now, do you have to memorize the min max algorithm, big 10, all that sort of crap? No, or big O rather. Now, there may be questions in some very computer sciencey job interviews, but are they really relevant to your job? Absolutely not, 90% of the time. I'm not familiar with Parcel. What version of Angular should you do? The latest, if you're going to start. How do you apply for jobs when you're looking? Do you apply for a certain number of ads every day? So again, when I was applying for jobs, I would look on two sites, LinkedIn, and I'd be looking on ZipRecruiter. And what I would do is I would filter by a 24-hour period, and every single day I would search for the jobs in, like, say, for my first job, it was the entire United States, which would turn out to be about 150 apps I would fill out every single day. So I'd come home from my job and I would fill out about 4 to 5 hours of apps. Is typically how long it would take me to go through about 150 apps. I go to bed, I go to work in the morning, I come home, I'd fill out 4 to 5 hours worth of apps, and in 6 weeks I had a job. And I take the same approach when I found my current job. Although I got a recruiter through it, I would apply to the jobs, in this case, in the area, and there's a lot less. And I would do it every single day for 24-hour periods. The reason for that is I want a lot of job apps just are up that are stale. I don't want to waste my time on it. And two, I want to make sure that if this app went up today, that my app was my job application was going to be one of the first ones that they saw, and that way they could look at my resume and give me a call. That was my goal. JavaScript personal portfolio. Should I have a straight JavaScript then a React version? You could. It'd be fun. Honestly, guys, none of these things are like bad questions most of the time, or bad ideas. Like, should I do it this way or should I jump into this? But oftentimes, if you do it both ways, you'll get something out of it. But I mean, it depends what you want to do. You want to get better at vanilla JavaScript? Do a vanilla JavaScript project. You want to get better at React? Do a React project. Why is it that so many companies are obsessed with solving algorithms for a junior level position? They want to make sure that you understand frameworks and you can think logic, or understand the language and can think logically. So that's really it. All programming is problem solving, and be able to break everything down into bits and pieces that you can then build out and connect those bits and pieces. You can kind of think of it as the project itself is a puzzle. You then have to build out these puzzle pieces that then become larger puzzle pieces that then clip in with the other large puzzle pieces you just created. That's kind of how I would think of it. And for that, you have to be good at solving puzzles. And so that's why the algorithm test exists. Now, I've had other companies that have given me very realistic projects where they say, hey, here's a mock API. Go ahead and create a GET call in this library and language, because that's what we care about. So do I use Bootstrap? Yes. What's coding on like on a day-to-day at work? Well, I just did a video on Monday saying day-to-day as a front-end engineer. It will probably answer all those questions. What's your experience on how to code? Please, a little about your life journey to developer job. I have a whole video breaking down a 2-year period of how I got my first dev job, and it's called how I became a developer. Joshua 911. Did you already explain your answer earlier in the video? Can you? Oh yes, I did. In the earlier video. When applying for companies out of state, do you generally entertain relocation packages, paying for the move? How's the hiring process when not local? So this is a company by company thing. A lot of the lower tier companies will not pay for your relocation. The higher tier companies will, and they'll say it right when they interview. Like, so when Amazon interviewed me, in the interview they said, if you need already, we're not discussing salaries or anything, but it did say in the interview thing that, hey, no matter where you're at, we're happy to pay for relocation if necessary. And at my last job, which was a much smaller company than Amazon, but It's about a 200-person company. There was a relocation package. And the way that they did it was I could take the relocation money or I could get a larger salary. And I chose larger salary because it's a better decision. But it's a company by company basis. What are the goals that you have? Currently, my immediate goal right now, Justin, is to 3 to 4 things. One, I want to finish my degree, my bachelor's. That is an immediate thing. 2, I want to become a senior developer as quickly as possible, and I think I can do it in a year and a half to 2 years. 3, I want to buy a house. So those are my 3 immediate goals. And 4, I want to buy a second house. So I am looking at duplexes to buy out. I plan on renting them out. So the houses that we're looking, when I say house, I mean duplex or house with a back house. And the reason for that is I plan on renting out the properties and having them become income generating properties, as well as me saving money on rent. So that is kind of what I am doing right now. Those are my goals in the next 6 months, some of them, to the next 3 years, I would say. How many projects have I made for front-end framework? Probably like 30 at this point. I just like relying on tutorials so much. I often wonder what thought process for breaking a program, what's the process for identifying these parts. So if you can understand what a user story is, essentially as a user, I want to do this, and thus I need this. That's kind of, so let's talk about a weather app. As a user, I want to see the weather in degrees and in Celsius because I may be a European user or a American user, something like that. So you start thinking about that and you're like, okay, well, what does that user story need? Well, I need a way to switch between the two, right? Or I need to display both, depending on what the context is. And so you essentially go through your application, and this is before it's built, obviously, and you say, what would I need to actually accomplish this? And when you're able to do that, you can then break down the parts and you start building it out. And you say, okay, well, where's the degree in Celsius coming from? Well, am I getting a JSON of data? If so, before I even get to that, I have to get that data. What does that mean I have to do? Well, I have to do a get call. All right, so I'll have to do a function to do a get call. Now, what am I actually calling? Well, I'm calling an API. Now, what is that data returning? Is it returning degrees? Is it returning Celsius? If it's just returning degrees, I have to convert it. So you start breaking it out piece by piece by piece. So, oh, testing. All right, we're still live. But yeah, so you just start doing stuff like that and you start thinking about it. I see so many jobs asking for 3 to 5 years experience. I ignore them because they'll ask. I feel like they'll ask, should I avoid these jobs or apply to them? It's kind of an interesting question. I don't think there's any harm in applying to them. I've been interviewed for roles that are 5+ years experience, and I've gotten very close to actually getting the job. But oftentimes I am a little bit inexperienced for a 5+ year experience job when I have 1 year experience at the time of those interviews. But I don't think there's any harm in it. Oftentimes, what it will do is if junior roles come along, you apply that and they've already interviewed you. Maybe they'll take you in. Is bachelor's degree required for companies for the job? Well, I've had 2 dev jobs and I have no bachelor's. So it's again, it's case by case basis. Can you prove without a bachelor's that you can code? Do you have an impressive portfolio, impressive LinkedIn? Are you an interesting candidate? Can you show that you're passionate and that you're enjoying this stuff? And are you the type of person that they want to hire? Do most people need degrees to get jobs? Yeah, because most people can't put in the work that's required when you don't have a degree. So again, it's a person by person basis, man. How many hours do I sleep? About 8. I go to bed about 8:30 and I get up about 6:30. So but 8:30, I'm in bed by 8:30 or 9, but it takes me about an hour plus to go to sleep. I've just been completing your course the last few days. I just finished the code. Now it's time to refactor. Great course. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, it's a introductory course to Angular. So here's the thing. I have like 2 to 3 courses that are complete, like 70% there. And I can't wait to release it, but I'm waiting for my computer, which should be here in a week. They're building it. What's your favorite database? Firebase, Mongo? I like MongoDB. I just like the JSON style database. I think it's pretty easy to do queries on it. But honestly, any of the JSON databases are kind of nice. Should I bother to post Udemy course completion certs on my website? I put them on my LinkedIn, and I put them on. And as I get better certifications, I probably will remove them from my LinkedIn. But if you go to my GitHub, github.com/PizzaPokerGuy, drop a star, drop a follow, beef up that shit. If you go on there, you'll see I actually have a certs folder, of which I have it broken out where I have certs from Udemy on there. Would companies in the U.S. accept candidates from other countries? Yes. There's a whole process you have to go through. At my 2 workplaces ago, I would say about 1/3 of the developers were imported. I don't know. Is imported the wrong word? But I feel like imported is correct. They imported developers. But yeah, so it does happen, you know. I don't know how you could apply to 100 plus 50 job ads. When I search for front-end developers, I get maybe 6 I can see myself capable of doing. Well, I was searching 24-hour period, but I was searching for the entire United States between LinkedIn and between ZipRecruiter. And oftentimes I had the mentality that if I was not qualified for a role that I applied to, I still applied to it. And the thought process being like I would pick it up as I got there. So a lot of times people are so intimidated to apply for jobs. You could probably go out today. Everyone in here could go out today and get an internship if they tried hard enough. And you'd learn a ton at that internship, even if they paid you minimum wage. And even if you're not ready, there's plenty of no job. And here's the thing. Here's the truth about web dev. No matter how many years of experience you have, you're never going to be the perfect candidate for this industry because every workplace is so different, so specific. And you have to accept that that's a reality. We all want to be 100% prepared and guarantee that we have 100% chance of success. And it's not realistic to the workplace. And so what ends up happening is you have to let go and say, look, I'm confident that I will put in the effort and the energy to get up and running. You know, when I started my current job, I never had any Angular 2 experience. And it was what I did was I put in 20 hours a week the first month doing Angular courses and studying Angular so that in a month from now I could be a much better Angular developer. And I, ask for help when I need it and so on and so forth. What are your deadlines for assignments now that you're doing online college? How do they compare when you're trying to get your CS degree in person? Well, so the way that Western Governors University works is much different than any traditional college. Is that you enroll in courses, you pay a flat rate because they just care about you being in school, essentially. But there are no deadlines. Your deadline is that they expect you to complete 12 units, I want to say, a semester, which is 6 months. And so if you wanted to, you could take all 3 finals last day, or you could take all 3 finals the first day if your program coach, I forget what they call them, checks off on it. So in terms of deadlines, there are none. You just take your test or you do your project, and that you have 6 months to do it within there. And if you finish the 3, you can enroll in more and do other courses. Which is great. And I love it, which is why, in terms of my schooling, in about 2 hours, and that we'll be ending this in about 15 minutes here, guys. in about 2 hours, I will be taking my first final, of which, if I pass, I will have finished one course in a 2-week period, which is what my goal is. While an in-degree person, you have to go to these classes where you don't really learn too much. You have to do a ton of assignments that you're required to do. All assignments are optional, minus the test or the final project in my current program. Do you believe studying for front end dev now should be done by summer? Do you believe my 10-year domain experience in the I don't know what you mean by 10-year domain experiences. You just mean working in the automotive parts field would help me in the job search with that industry? I think it would, yeah. But I wouldn't necessarily tailor yourself to it. How long did you wait to start applying for jobs? How far were you on free code camp? I was about 3/4 of the way through free code camp when I started applying. What are your thoughts on the last episode of Dragon Ball Super? I watch Dragon Ball Super every week, and I can just tell you that um the fan service is at an all-time high, always, and it's kind of. I think Dragon Ball Super will be better when watched sequentially, from start to finish. But it's really hard to enjoy a lot of these episodes in just a 20-minute piece because all of them lead to something else, and I find myself more frustrated with it than anything else. Um, that's really what I would say. Write a book on journey from grasshopper to sensei, maybe. What's my favorite coding channel? YouTube channel for coding? Probably Traversity Media for actual coding. Kat, can I have a look at your LinkedIn today? I said I'd do it next time. Next time. Thank you, Joshua. Why are you getting a degree when you're already a successful web developer? Do you think a degree will make a difference? I think a degree will give me, a couple things. From a personal standpoint, I have a chip on my shoulder, and I'm a bit of a pessimist. So I don't like that I didn't finish a degree, and that's one thing. Second thing is one day I want to go and be a teacher of some sort, and so I'm starting that process now because I'll need a degree to do that. Thirdly, I think it will make me more money, and fourthly, I found a program that works for what I want to do. Hey man, just started out and saying thanks for doing these vlogs. They're a great help. Keep up the good work, sir. Thank you, man. That's part of the reason I do this, guys. Is I mean, there's 40 of us in here, and people are going to tune in throughout the week, and so maybe 1,000 people here get the chance to watch this, and a lot of the same questions that we've been discussing in every live stream, they typically are questions that most other people want to know, and so this is really sort of some open source mentoring type of stuff, right? So where if I think I can provide a solid answer, or people want to base what worked for you, I'm happy to share what worked for me because I think although it was a lot of hard work, I think I made some good choices along the way to make sure that my hard work went paid for, or paid off rather. Do you think blockchain is as revolutionary as NoSQL? I think blockchain is going to be something that whether you think it's going to be cryptocurrencies or those are going to succeed, I think the blockchain as a whole is something that could completely succeed because a lot of companies have a lot of databases that are not as secure as blockchain in a traditional sense. We'll see though. I mean, blockchain's been around for a while and it hasn't necessarily taken over. I mean, don't get me wrong, this last year the jobs in blockchain exploded, and I'm expecting that to continue, but whether it will to the point where I'll need to sit down and think about actually picking it up because it is such a thing. We'll see. Do you have any advice or resources for making a resume that stands out to recruiters? I think I've talked about organizing your resume to showcase your skills and your projects, and I personally believe a photo is good as well, and just something that showcases single page and has all your relevant jobs on there with bullet points to successes. That's basically all I can say right now. Try going to get the basics under my belt, then do a boot camp. Not sure which one yet, but seems like a good way to get going, in my honest opinion. I think it's a solid way for a lot of people. I did it myself. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. There is something that I would love to go to a boot camp just because I think I would thoroughly enjoy it. And there's probably some gaps in my knowledge, but you don't have to. But a lot of people need their handheld. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but a lot of times people need that person that they're going to ask a question and get a response. And it's kind of why I'm here, is to give you a response to the questions that you have, right? Um, a live response, and a lot of people need that, especially when learning coding, because sometimes it's. I remember when I started out, I didn't even know how to Google to get the result that I needed, right? So when you're at that level, it's really hard to get going, where you're like, this is failing. I have no idea what I should even search for. So I just paste it in. That didn't do anything. What do I do next? Don't know. So um, how did I get my first web dev job? I applied for 6 weeks. I got a job in Florida, and I drove across country in 4 days, 3 days. It was awful. I would never recommend anyone drive across country in such a short amount of time. It's better not to start with the boot camp then. I mean, everyone's different. Here's the thing, guys. There's no one answer. I definitely think you need to be prepared to go into a boot camp. I don't think there's anything wrong with a coding boot camp. I think that if you put in the time, the effort, and the energy, you could probably do very well with it. So it just kind of depends. I am very pro coding boot camp. If people ask me a lot, one of the common questions I get is, "Hey, I want to start a career um, in software and web dev, and I want to be working within a year, and I don't want to, like, what is a good option?" I think coding bootcamp is a great option, right? Dev Mountain has tuition and housing for $10,000, and they're going to teach you front end full stack development. It's a great way for you to get started. Do you have to go to a boot camp? No, of course not. Just like you don't have to go to college. But it is something to be said that you will have resources with a clearly defined learning path, as well as help to teach you what you need to know to become a working dev. What I find hard to comprehend is that I can go from knowing nothing to getting a $60,000 job in under 12 months. Is that a real deal, or are they pulling my plonker? Is plonker a word that you guys say over there in Europe? No, it's a real deal, man. I mean, if you were to look at my salary, I went from a pizza delivery driver to, and we look. This is let's say within 3 years, I went from delivering pizzas to a $75,000 plus bonus plus multiple weeks of vacation salary, with a career that is just going to continue to grow. In terms of all that. Do you think one should learn JavaScript before jQuery? Yes, every day. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it sounds kind of crazy, right? Because like you go from making $8 an hour in my case. If you were to talk about what I made hourly, not counting tips, um, as I was a student in school, I was making $8 an hour, like $8.25 an hour. And you were to compare it to where I am now, I make around, if you don't count bonuses and you don't count paid vacation or any of that, just straight up money, um, I make $36 an hour, something like that. So you start thinking about that, and you're like, it's kind of crazy. You're like, you more than like 4.5 times or around 4.5 times your increased income. So It sounds crazy and it sounds intimidating, right? Like, damn, man, who's gonna pay me that much money? And it turns out a lot of people. So when you when you start thinking about it, it's you have to have the skills, you have to be able to do all that. But yeah, first job is always front end. That's why I keep seeing, at least for no degree jobs. I think front end is a great entry point, which is why you see that. Whether it's the first job always is probably not the case. I mean, my first job was full stack. jQuery, is jQuery necessary? I think jQuery is not necessary. I think it's a supplemental skill, but that's my personal opinion. Now, I do think in terms of front-end development, React or Angular is necessary. What I think about a complete education in computer science using online resources, I think a complete education in software development is much better. If you actually want to be considered a computer scientist, you need to go get a degree. How much should I charge hourly for my work as freelance web developer? I don't know. I used to charge $20. But that was pretty low by most people's standards. Now I charge $90. I've been a chef for 20 years. It took years and years to work up to head chef, earning maybe 22, and here I can walk in a job 3 times as much in under a year. It's a different skill set. I mean, honestly, that's just the truth of the matter. There's no disrespect to chefs. There's plenty of people who want to be chefs, and there's plenty of organizations that there's plenty of people that don't value the skills the chef have as well, and that's just the nature of that industry. Is the U.S. overpaying for devs or other countries underpaying? I would say other countries are underpaying, which is why you see a lot of devs leave the underpaying countries and come work in the companies here. And also, there's a lot of competition for developers, right? So if you're working in Seattle, New York, or San Francisco or something like that, they're trying to steal devs left and right. So I'm 42 and starting again. Any tips? Code every day for 3 hours till you get a job. That's the #1 tip right there. All right, guys. I have to end this live stream. It's been a pleasure. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope that I have been able to provide you with some value. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, might I suggest you please do. It is greatly appreciated. One of my other goals, someone asked me what my goal is. My goal is also by the end of 2018, I want to hit that 100K. I want the silver play button up over my shoulder. I want to have that. I want to have that on the mantle. All right, guys, and I need your help with that. So if you like my content and you want the channel to succeed, please share the videos. Please like the videos. Please comment on the videos and share your opinions, whether you think I'm right or wrong. Oftentimes, I think it's educational for me and everyone else. Sometimes people just come to the videos to watch the comments. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And if you want to support me, you can. We have my course links in the description. We also have the Bro Do You Even Code shirt in the description, where you can get yourself a shirt, a mug, a phone case, or a sticker, and I think probably a sweatshirt as well. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.